Well, the Prime Minister has accused insurance companies of ripping off Australians in the wake of the damage caused by ex-tropical cyclone Alfred. Now insurers are actually hitting back, saying government red tape and poor planning is to blame. Joining me now is the CEO of the Insurance Council of Australia, Andrew Hall. Andrew, we'll put the question straight to you. Are insurance agencies ripping off homeowners?
Well, insurance has had steep premium increases over the last 3 years, but that's all explainable from what's happened in terms of both the number of events that we've endured, billions and billions of dollars of payouts. Reinsurance costs globally have gone up, and we're seeing even things like the Los Angeles bushfires have an impact on global reinsurance. And then here locally, obviously we are working with governments to try to put in place, as Janelle said, your last interviewee there, measures to reduce risk. And essentially that's what we're grappling with in this country, is that we have around 220,000 homes that were built in an area on the East Coast that are at a high risk of flooding. And over the last several years, some of these homes have flooded up to 3 times.
So essentially you're blaming the government here and not taking any responsibility?
No, insurers are saying we want to work with government to reduce the risk. Insurers are not immune from inflation. Building inflation in the last 3 years has increased around 40%. So every year when an insurance premium is priced, they look at building in a 2 or 3% increase in inflation if they need to rebuild or repair your home. What's happened in the last few years is that those increases have been double digit, and in totality around about 40% more expensive these days to rebuild a home. I had one builder telling me yesterday how 3 years ago it cost about $10 to get a 300-gram tube of silicone, which you use a lot of when you're repairing a flood home. These days it's $15.60. So a third increase in all of those.
Some are saying, though, at the moment that insurance companies are to blame for inflation.
Well, insurers are price takers because we contract a builder to rebuild your home. We buy the parts off the car companies to repair your car. That is not what is driving inflation. Is the insurance premiums are being driven by the inflation. We're at the end of that chain, and your insurance premium renews annually. Holly, if we want to do something about insurance premiums immediately, the first thing that could be done is a political party can stand up at this election and vow to remove stamp duty off insurance policies. Around Australia in the last 12 months alone, $8.6 billion was paid by Australian consumers of insurance in taxes. That is more than a third more than insurance companies made in profit. So I asked the question, when Janelle Saffin in Lismore, who is a very good local member and has represented that region that's been through hell and back, when she says and points out correctly that the Lismore levy is not 1 centimetre higher and all those people live in complete fear every time it rains, I ask, where are those billions of dollars going? In New South Wales, a homeowner who I met last week in Lismore paying around $6,000 a year because her home is in a flood zone, almost $2,000 of that premium is going to the New South Wales government in tax. The New South Wales government tomorrow could turn around and remove all of that tax off that premium.
I mean, there's government red tape here for sure, and I understand what you're saying, that 220,000 homes are allowed to be built in flood-prone areas and they're not able to be insured properly. I understand what you're saying there, but the blame game isn't helping here. People need support. There were reports that in the 2022 floods, it took some people, some policyholders, 2 years to receive a claim. That's not government. That's not the government's fault. The insurance agencies need to take some responsibility here when you're making billions in profits.
Yes. Well, so Holly, let's pull that apart. So in 2022, we had 230,000 claims come into the system. This last event so far has produced about 9,000 claims. That's very manageable. In 2022, we were coming off the back of COVID restrictions where we were unable to move people interstate. The insurance industry knew there was an issue and conducted, as Janelle referred to, a review. That review was complete. A parliamentary inquiry has been done. 80-odd recommendations have come out. In terms of claims handling, the vast majority of those recommendations have been accepted and are now currently being implemented. What we're trying to do is work with government, though, on reducing the risk. because the problem is this is the definition of insanity. We rebuild a home, the flood happens again, you have the cost of repairing and replacing that home. 96% of all claims are paid out and are dealt with. They're rebuilt, people put back into their homes. And I expect at the moment insurers are working through, because we have thousands of staff who live here in southeast Queensland who are already out on the ground doing the assessment, providing the spoilage payments and the like. So insurers are working very hard. I want to push past this politicking around insurers and insurance companies. I know we are an easy target here. I know our staff are working very hard to serve the thousands of customers we do have. But moving forward, we've got to do something about the fact that insurance products are heavily taxed and that people who don't live in flood zones are currently paying more in their insurance premiums because we're constantly getting battered by these large-scale flood events on the east coast of Australia.
While there's a war of words at the moment, it's Aussies who are being left stranded but paying enormous premiums here for their insurance to be covered, but are not being properly dealt with and treated and supported in their hour of need. Thank you for your time today, though, Andrew. I appreciate you answering our questions today.